Welcome to Culture Warriors. I'm Adrienne Batra, and I'm here with Toronto Sun's very own Tarek Fatah, someone who hasn't been afraid to critique Islam, one of the very few people in this country to do that. So let me ask you, how many death threats have you actually received?
More than I could count, but there is a uniqueness in the death threats that I've got is that I have 3 would-be assassins in custody in India, who 2 were sent by across the border from Pakistan. One was an ISIS guy from Saudi Arabia. So it's quite scary if I think about it, but I don't. So I can, and I'm 68.
You can handle it. You've also spent some time in prison too.
Well, that was in 1968. During the martial law of, if you're too young to remember, Field Marshal Ayub Khan. And then in 1970 again, when there was another martial law. And finally in 1977, when the third martial law of General Ziaul Haq came, I was barred from seeking employment and said bye-bye to Pakistan.
There are very few people in this country who are prepared and brave enough to actually be critical of Islam. I want to ask you, yourself, Raheel Raza, Farzana Hassan, just a few names in this country that come to mind. What is it that you feel has changed in Canada since you've been here to where we are now with respect to dealing and handling this growing notion that there is intolerance in this country?
Well, there has been a very effective penetration of all political parties of Islamists, young men and women who were born in Canada, who have been trained and taught how to hate Western civilization without Western civilization knowing anything about it. It's a challenge that has gone unchecked because the people you mentioned, or some of us, are simply not ugly enough to be considered authentic Muslims. So anytime the Prime Minister or the Leader of the Opposition or the Mayor of Toronto wishes to be seen as having interacted with a Muslim, quote unquote, they're not going to meet with a Kurdish woman who's just arrived here after getting raped by ISIS Arab jihadis, or Darfuri who were annihilated by the Arab Janjaweed. Not even a Baloch. They will look at specifically the caricature, the woman in hijab with a shy posture, along with a bearded man who has a guttural Arabic accent. So you will never ever find a Turkish gentleman on TV. You will never find anyone from Darfur, where 500,000 was slaughtered in 2005. No. I have no problem saying that, because the ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood is the ideology of every Islamic organization from university.
So they would, of course, turn around and try to sue you for saying that and trying to suggest that very notion.
I wish they would. I wish they would, so we could discuss that these are the people who, contrary to what the Muslim Holy Book says about women, have turned a political ideology and imposed it in a stranglehold on the brains of Muslim women.
So I have to ask you, why is it you do what you do? It'd be so much easier just to sit back and write a column, go into retirement, but there's some passion in you that compels you to do this.
I'm scared of where these ethnic identities and ethnic wars will take us in not being who we individually think we are, but trying to be proud of what our forefathers were. For example, my grandmother's French. I have an Italian aunt. 2 of my sisters-in-law are Anglo-Indians. My wife is a Gujarati-speaking Shia. I'm a Punjabi Sunni. My grandparents, their grandparents were Indian, and somehow I'm supposed to say I'm Pakistani. That's ridiculous. We are fundamentally based on a common humanity as defined by the UN Declaration of Human Rights. And there are too few people using common sense to fight for justice and equality. And I think I'm playing my part in that.
Well, he is certainly one of the most fascinating people in Canada and one of our culture warriors. Stay tuned for part 2 of our discussion with Tarek Fatah. Don't forget to log on to Facebook and Twitter and let us know what you think.